Meadow Lands Farm was the home of Delvin Miller for decades, and today owner Joe Salandra is keeping Delvin's spirit and the history of harness racing at the forefront of his home.
Meadow Lands Farm was built in about 1826 by John Hewing. He was a representative, state representative. He'd been a judge. He and his family lived here for many years. They had a sheep farm and they had coal mines. Delvin, I think he bought the farm around 1948, he and Mary Lib. It was a dairy farm before that. And he came and put the stalls in for horses, and they lived here for about 50 years, he and Mary Lib. Well, I have always admired it and just thought it was a great place to live. And I was talking to a man on the phone one day, on my cell phone, and I heard horses and the wind blowing. I said, "Are you at the track?" He said, "No, I'm over at Meadow Lands Farm." I says, "Is there anyone living in the house?" He says, "No, I think Rod Pyatt wants to sell it." So I called Rod Pyatt, and he said, "Yeah, I'd like to sell it." And it really happened fast. Just lucky timing, I guess.
Salandra, however, was no stranger to the sport of harness racing in the Meadows.
Well, when I was about 13 years old, I started up at the racetrack as a photo finish runner. Back in those days, they would Jim Crouch took the photo finish from up on the roof. I would wait till it was developed. During the race, I changed the actual position of each horse, the first four horses on the board from up in the judge's office. And after the race, I took the photo finishes down and posted them on two different boards on two levels for everyone to see. They didn't have anything automated or anything then. My father, he was Joe Salandra also. He worked at the racetrack. He actually was shoveling gravel the morning the place opened, and he was asked by John Townsend if he wanted to try a job. And he was a cashier there, and then became a special cashier he worked for 33 years every night at the track. And that's how I got the job. He heard that there was a position. The announcer, Ken Kadar at the time, his children did it, and they were getting older and wanted to move on. So he happened to ask my dad if he knew anybody, and of course he knew me, so there I was. So that's how it all started. But he was there 33 years, loved it. I started my funeral business. I purchased a funeral home in 1982, so it wasn't long after I finished at the racetrack that I went into my own business, and I've had that all these years. 81, it's 33 years now, and I just have been away from the racetrack. I mean, other than going there as a spectator, I haven't had much to do with it. Eventually, I think I'd like to get back into having a few horses, since I have the space for them and everything here.
With the help of Delvin's wife, Mary Lib, Joe returned many of Delvin's keepsakes to their original place. Memorabilia from Delvin's days on the track as one of the sport's top horsemen, and off the track from his days in the military and as harness racing's unofficial ambassador, are found throughout Salandra's home at Meadow Lands Farm.
That's our house right there, the original house, Meadow Lands Farm. And Adios had the picture painted by Richard Stone Reeves in 1955. That's the picture there. It was given to Delvin by his friends over at the racetrack, and I don't know if it was his 60th or 65th birthday. A few of his friends got together and bought this for him, and I remembered that he had it, and I just off the cuff one day asked Mary Lib, "Do you still have Delvin's Rolls-Royce golf cart?" She said, "Yeah, honey, I think it's over at Meadowcroft. You want it?" She said, "You go over and get it. I'll call him and tell him you're coming."
And thanks to Joe, many of the home's greatest stories also continue to be told.
This is Delvin and Mary Lib's kitchen, and I was sitting here one day, and I actually called Mary Lib, and she was saying, "Where are you, honey?" I said, "I'm sitting in the kitchen." She said, "Oh, if my little kitchen could talk." She said that one day I was out in the garden and bringing tomatoes in, and Delvin brought these three baseball players home. So a man from Ohio gave me a slab of bacon, and she told me this long, involved story, and I said, "Mary Lib, who were the baseball players?" She said, "Let me think now. Mickey Mantle, Whitey Ford, and Joe DiMaggio." She said, "If my little kitchen could talk."
Many great moments took place above the stables, where Delvin hosted barn parties, which brought together celebrities from the world of harness racing and beyond. But Delvin's favorite part of his homestead were the horses, and some of the great names in harness racing started their lives at Meadow Lands Farm. Today, the paddock where Adios lived out his years is still there, with Adios laid to rest nearby. Meadow Lands Farm's rich history preserved by its current owner, Joe Salandra.